Welcome to the Paper Snob. This is Tara. Today I am working on Scraplift Crafternoon. This week we have a double page layout to Scraplift from Janine Ross. I will have her information down here below in that description box so that you can go to her Instagram account and leave her some love. She's got some amazing layouts over there. I will also post her 2-page layout up here in the corner for you, and going to go ahead and just dive right into this mess. What I have sitting here is mostly 49 Market's Vintage Artistry Sunburst. This is the washi. Here's some more washi. These are just the little icon stickers. Don't know if I'm going to use those, but I pulled them out. I have a border punch. She has scalloped borders on her layout. Not going to use scalloped borders. I'm going to use the notebook punch. I have a whole bunch of the laser dies. I have a scrap of paper. I have a ton of photos here. Now my photos are definitely sized differently than hers, and I have already taken the liberty to mat them just to save myself a step. These are the flamingos from my most recent Scrappy Cruise, which was quite fun. So I have these here, and then I have a bunch of little ones. Again, like I said, I have already matted these once. They are double matted on hers, and I will do that part on camera. There are more of these. There are actually 8 of these, so there's some more floating around here somewhere. So I'm going to have 12 photos on this layout. I have a piece of Vicky Bouton striped paper from Where to Next. I tend to use that piece quite often. I'm going to use that for the stripe because I've got these Vintage Artistry papers here. I've already cut out the 3 circles that she used for her cluster bases. Here's the black cardstock, and then here are the papers that I'm going to use for my background. Again, all 3 of these are from Vintage Artistry Sunburst. I pulled these, but I don't think I'm going to actually use those. I have some Freckled Fawn Monstera leaves. They're wood veneer. Here's the other photos. And I have the film strips, the wishing baubles. I've got 2 sets of those. And then I've got just kind of some stuff that I pulled, including my title pieces here. My title's not going to be as large as hers because I'm using pre-made stuff, but I've got a pile of goodies here to play with. So we're going to pause, we're going to get started, and I will be right back. There are actually 13 photos going on this layout because one of my 4x6 is actually 2 3x4s that I matted on one piece of pink pattern paper from this collection. I have cut this down in the text paper was cut into 7-inch and 5-inch pieces. It's going to go across the middle just like in the original layout. I am cutting my branding strips off and setting those aside, and then I am going to just start building this background. I don't end up using the washi tape on this layout. I thought that I would have a little bit more room than I do, but I don't, and so it gets left out. My photos on the left-hand page are bigger, or at least some of them are, so that is why it's an issue. I am taping my background down kind of like I do when I do a 2-page layout, just because I want to make sure that things meet up correctly, and then I realize that I can't actually tape it down because I have to put this full sheet of text paper down on it. So that was kind of silly and a waste of my time. But I usually do that when I am doing a 2-page layout because it helps me meet things in the middle, especially when you have things that go across both pages. So I am going to mat these larger photos first. I have 2 sheets of this black cardstock. This black cardstock is from Joann's. It is the same type of cardstock that the white is, except for it sucks. It's glossy. leaves fingerprints and smudges, and so I have just been using it mostly for matting things because it just doesn't work. So I realize here that that bottom set of 2 photos isn't going to meet up. I'm going to have a little bit of a space in between, and so much to my annoyance that's not going to work. And so what I end up doing, and I do this part off camera, is I mat it a second time so that it goes all the way across, and then I just have that tiny square here in the middle, and you'll see that here in a minute as I clear off my desk. I've gone through all of those laser die cuts, and I've pulled things that I think that I will use, and I'm kind of stacking those up at the top. You did not see me mat the 8 smaller photos, but all I did was just space them out as evenly as possible onto the second piece of black cardstock and just adhere them down. And here I am using my notebook border punch. I've said this before, I think this is a left-handed thing, maybe not, maybe it's just a Terra thing, I don't know. I punch upside down so that I can line up at the bottom, and I know that I'm doing a very poor job of showing you that I have done it that way, but it's because anytime I flip it over and I use the guides on the top, I end up with a mess, and it's never even, and it's just kind of annoying. So I'm going to punch, and then I'm going to cut it out at 1 inch so that I have room to tuck it. And I do this all 3 times so that I get 3 separate borders. The 8 photos on the right hand page have a border top and bottom, and the left hand page has a border on the far left side. Again, in the original layout, she has 2 beautiful borders, and I had intended on using some of that Vintage Artistry washi tape for my second border, but because my photos are so much larger on that left side, there's no real room for that, and so I just leave it out. And that's okay, we can use that washi tape another time. I really love this punch. It is one of my favorite. I have 2 border punches that are notebook edges. One has round holes, and this one has the rectangle holes. I tend to use this one more often, but I really like both punches, and they're both similar. I don't think they're from the same company though. I'm going to set the rest of that striped piece aside, and it'll go back into the collection. I do keep my collections together until I fully run out of paper, and then I start taking apart the leftover embellishments and putting them in other places. So I am going to go ahead and put the notebook edge on the back here. That's what you're seeing me do, and I'm going to trim it off, and that way it's even. I didn't quite get it even, so you can see that little bit poking up at the top, so I trimmed that down again, and I'm going to go ahead and adhere this to the left hand side. So as you can see, I just don't have as much space as Janine has on her layout on any of the sides, top, bottom, all of it, and so I'm going to have to really work on my embellishment clusters, which means this circle is going to be hanging off the edge, and I'll have to trim it. My title says something awesome in the sunshine or something like that, and it is just from the Vintage Artistry collection. I have got a couple of pineapples, binoculars, a bunch of little flowers. I've got a ton of little flowers. There's a big old starfish and some big butterflies. I don't end up using any of those items because they're relatively large. I do believe I go in and I add a couple of shells. I add some other things as well, but I think you will see me do some of that. I'm going to clear off my punched out pieces, and yes, sometimes I save those if I know I'm going to use them right away, but in this layout I know I'm not going to. And it's just more stuff that I have to keep track of, so I just put those little extra pieces out into the trash. And I'm going to go ahead and adhere the borders on the top and bottom of this set of photos. Going to trim off that striped paper, trying to get it as straight as possible. I am also probably not saving those little extra pieces. Maybe I did, I'm not really sure. So on the left side, I actually butt the photo mats right up to the edge of that 12 by 12 paper. And on the second mat, I leave some space in between it just so that you can see that it's a full sheet. I don't remember if Janine's is like that or not, but I wanted a little bit of space there. It still makes it a very cohesive layout because I've drawn the stripes across both sides. I've got the pink circles go across both sides, and the embellishment clusters are fairly similar on both sides. I am just going to kind of play here. I've got 2 tags with flamingos on it, or on them, and I'm going to put both of those on here. I also punched out some of there were 2 flamingo laser cut dies. I don't end up putting those on the layout at all. I decided that the 2 tags with the flamingos was quite enough. So now I'm just kind of playing where I'm going to put this journaling tag. It's going to end up there in that bottom circle. I'm going to add some of those really nice laser cut twine pieces, and I'm going to put another one over there on that left bottom circle just so that I have some of those twine pieces on all 3 clusters. And I felt like those the blue ones on the left hand side worked really well with that cluster, and so that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm still playing around with these laser cut flowers, just kind of getting bits and pieces here and there, making sure that I've got enough visual interest going on, and then I just decide to start pulling out that washi tape with the icons. It's in my lap, so you can't really see it, but mostly I'm pulling out leafy bits, but I do pull out one of the bottles, and I think I end up using 2 or 3 of the leafy bits, maybe a leafy bit in each place. The bottle goes on that top right circle in that embellishment cluster, so that works out really well. In the center of this large photo mat, I am putting Tropical State of Mind, and then I'm going to add some washi stickers on top, and then I will use some of those laser die cuts and tuck them underneath just for some layering and visual interest. I really like how that little piece ended up looking. It doesn't detract from my photos, which to me is very important thing not to do. As I just continually play, I'm adding more laser die cuts here and there and trying to make sure I don't get too much help from the kitties. They're really bad about walking all over the place on my layouts, as you know if you've been here for very long. I have that tab that says look here, and I think it does end up in that top left circle. I'm adding that white floral laser die cut behind my bottom circle. Gonna put some more of that washi stuff on it, and I'm using the washi tape to actually hold down my embellishment cluster as I work. I'm pretty happy with that. All right, I got this layout completely finished. I am very pleased with how this turned out. Off camera, I glued things down. I popped things up with foam adhesive here and there. I did add some of the wishing baubles here, here, and here as well, and a couple more of the washi stickers. I think I added one here and one here. So, oh, and I added this little bottle to this chipboard tag just for fun, and then overlaid that turtle laser die cut over the top of it. This is a beautiful collection. It is so much fun to play with. I'm getting close to being out of paper. Tons of embellishments left, but that is okay. You can use cardstock and mixed media for the rest of it. So if you're new here, I would love to have you as a subscriber. I host Scraplift Crafternoon right here on my channel. Each Sunday we take a break around Thanksgiving for a Sunday and around Christmas for a Sunday, just because that time of year is super busy for everyone. The other hops that I host on my Facebook community group, so you are welcome to join that if you want to join my Facebook community group, please answer the questions and agree to the group rules. That's how I weed out the crazies, and believe me, there are crazies out there. I've had some crazy requests come in. So anyway, if I will try to remember to drop that link down there for you so that you can click it and join my group if you'd like. And we just kind of have fun over there talking about all things scrapbooking. It's not just for YouTubers or people with Instagrams, but the hops that I host on my Facebook community group are for everyone. So even if you don't do YouTube or Instagram, you're welcome to participate in the challenge. There will be an album in the group each month for each of those hops. You can just post your lovely projects right in there, and cards are welcome as well. I hope that you guys have a great Sunday. Bye.